It occurred to me that there's something in the YouTube filmmaking community that nobody really seems to talk about. And I don't think it's any big secret, but I think a lot of us would like to know how we establish this. Now, in the past, we've talked a lot about the steps to go about building and growing your YouTube channel. We've talked about consistency, we've talked about finding your niche, finding your style, but something that's kind of overlooked is getting an establishing sort of like home base. So for example, mine is this office. You guys see time and time again in my videos, this is like my main A-roll shot. I think this is something really relevant to talk about to you guys because not a lot of people share the reasons why and how they've like set up their main A-roll studio shot. You'll see a lot of YouTubers and content creators, you know, have this great looking set that they kind of change and manipulate over time. And maybe they'll do like a tour, but they'll never really explain why it's set up the way it is, you know, why they have the lighting set up this way, why they have the background set up this way, lights in the background. It's these fundamentals of cinematography that I think a lot of people just kind of don't even think to explain, just because over time of learning lighting setups and learning, you know, how to create an interesting looking set and a scene, you'll just implement into your own work. But nobody's ever really directly tackled how to set up a YouTube studio. So that's what I plan to do here today. Basically, I'm gonna take you through how I have things set up, how I'm lighting, how I'm getting the audio, everything from, you know, why I have the lights on the desk, why I have the little hanging bulb, wrong side, hanging bulbs up there, all these practical lights. I'm gonna take you through step by step. All right, so real quick, before we get into the video, I wanna thank the people over at Squarespace for sponsoring and supporting my content. Be sure to check the link down in the description. Start your 30-day free trial if you wanna build a website, a portfolio. I'll talk about it more later in the video. So now you guys are seeing things from my perspective. This is right where I sit, right here in my little office chair. Then we got the camera setup. You guys should all know the camera setup by now. This is the Sony a7R II, which is just sitting inside of a basic little cage from a small rig and then connected up to a monitor there, just so I can see myself, make sure I'm in focus. Absolutely not necessary though. For a long time, I shot with just the camera. I would frame things up, run back and forth until I made sure I got the shot right. But I decided to pick up a monitor, make things a little bit easier. Above me here is the audio setup. This is kind of a pretty ghetto way to do an overhead boom, but essentially we have the Rode VideoMic Pro, which is connected to the Tascam DR05, I believe it is, audio recorder, which is on a monopod, and it's just kind of stuck between the railing in my closet there. Now I very well could just have the Rode VideoMic Pro sitting on top of the Sony setup and just capturing audio directly into the camera, but having it closer like this, an overhead, and then especially into an external audio recorder is gonna give us significantly better sound quality, which is all a part of creating this main studio shot. Now getting into the lighting setup, this is a pretty ghetto way to do this, but basically I have the light, which is kind of just, again, wedged between this little metal piece, so I don't have to have a light stand. Pretty convenient, and I can leave it set up. But what this light is basically an old softbox. You guys know the ones that have the fluorescent like house bulbs inside of them. You can get them off Amazon extremely cheap. I rigged in my LED panel in there. You guys have seen these in one of my previous videos where I talked about good budget lighting setups. I stuck it inside of this softbox to create nice soft light. And the convenient thing is that because it's sort of wedged into that closet area, it can pretty much just stay there. It's out of the way for the most part. Granted, I can't shut my closet door, but no big deal. But as you guys can see, what this does is it creates a very nice, soft, even key light here on me. And I kind of intentionally don't fill in much of this area to kind of give the scene a little bit of that dramatic feel. Now behind me, illuminating my desk, is a very, very simple LED strip that's on the back side of that metal tubing that goes all the way around the edge of my desk, and that's shining against the wall. Now I can change these to any color I really prefer, but I really do like this nice blue look. I get a lot of questions about these Edison bulbs that are hanging back here on the ceiling that are kind of strung up. These are fixtures from IKEA, and then just basic Edison bulbs that you can get at pretty much any home improvement store. The cool thing is I have them wired down to this little dimmer, so I can brighten them and darken them as I please. Now the reason that I have this lighting behind me here is for what we call practical lighting, which is essentially just visible lighting that's in the frame that just adds some character or some depth to the scene. Now if I turn off the practical lighting, like so, we still have a very nicely lit scene. In fact, a lot of people would call this like a perfectly good shot, but in order to add some more character, some more style, some more flair, we kick these bad boys on, And this is what we get. It looks a lot more interesting. Now, practical lighting doesn't have to be LED strips or hanging bulbs in the background. It can be something as simple as a candle. It could be a small little lamp that's just in the background sitting on a desk or a table. It can really be anything. So this particular shot has been my setup for the greater part of the last, 6 months or so. I haven't really changed it a whole lot. I pretty much stuck with the same lighting setup. I've maybe changed the lighting source a couple of different times, but I've been reasonably happy with what I have right now. But the people over at Falcon Eyes, who make these really, really cool flexible LED lights, reached out to me and wanted to send me one of these guys. Okay, so I'm realizing now that my office is definitely not very well set up for an unboxing video. Okay, so the first thing I need to do here is change our lighting setup. Now I can't see. This is a 24-inch by 24-inch flexible LED mat. Similar LEDs to the little light panels that I've showed you guys in videos before, but basically in a large, flexible form. So we've got the LED mat. We have the bracket to mount it onto a light stand. Oh my God. So here's the controller for the light. We have very fine-tuned adjustability of the light output as well as the color temperature. You can see on the screen there, we can go in increments of it looks to be 50, and we can go by individual percent for the output. Definitely nice. So I literally just got this light and I decided I wanted to test it and play with it before I do a full video on it for you guys. But you're probably wondering, like, okay, yeah, fancy new light, what are you gonna do with it? Well, I decided that I wanted to kind of change my current studio setup. And now, while I could very well just change the setup and then in the next video that you guys see me here in the studio, I have sort of a different look and never talk about it, that kind of defeats the purpose and hence the exact reason we're talking about this video today. Okay, so our first step is to turn off this light and then take it out of the closet here, which is gonna be kind of a process in on its own, because I have it really wedged into this metal piece and it's not gonna come out very easy. Right, okay, so boom mic is in the way. I guess that's the convenient part of having it on a monopod, is I can just, yeah. Okay. So looking at it, I think I might be able to do the same thing of kind of wedging it in the little metal rack there with this adapter that I have. Oh, no, not quite. Okay, yeah, so that's not gonna work. I think I could figure out a solution for it at one point, and I'd like to do that. Reason being is so I can actually just probably slide my closet door shut and then it's out of the way completely. But for now, I'll just grab a light stand. Oh, okay. Okay, so right off the bat, this light is at 1%, and I haven't changed the exposure settings on my camera from what they normally are, but the great thing is I now have a lot more light output, so I can lower my ISO, theoretically getting less noise in my image. So I'm looking up at my monitor right now in case you're wondering. It looks good, but the light is a little bit harsher than I'd like it to be, so I think I'm gonna throw a piece of diffusion over the top of it. I have these basic diffusion panels that came off of those old fluorescent softboxes like I was talking about earlier with the original lighting setup that I had, so I'm just gonna stick this over. Okay, yeah, so that's definitely softer. I think maybe it could be a little bit lower because it almost looks like it's coming from too high of an angle right now. Okay, no, so this isn't the look I'm going for. This looks nice, but it looks very directional. It looks like the light is literally right here, which it is, but I want something that looks a lot more ambient, a lot more organic, if that makes sense, as if it were maybe just coming from a nice big window. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna raise it up and actually kind of pull it away just a little bit. Okay, so now what I've done is I've raised the light up, I've pushed it back into the closet just a little ways, and then I've actually put a second layer of diffusion over the top of it to create an even softer look. But you'll notice it's a little too dark now, so I'm gonna turn up the output of the light. Yeah, okay, so I think that looks pretty good. I think I might tweak this just a little bit more, but for the most part, I'm pretty happy. Okay, so my memory card died during that last little segment, which sucks, but One thing I changed was the brightness of the wallpaper of my monitors. At the start of the video, you guys might have noticed the monitors were a little bit darker than they are now. I changed it back to what it originally was. And the intention of that is to, again, add a little bit more practical light in the background, but the other thing it adds is a nice little sort of edge catch light right on the back, kind of the side of me. So it adds a little bit more depth and helps me to stand out from the background. I didn't even realize it, but I think the boom mic is causing a little shadow on my head. Is it? Maybe if I sit a little further forward. Yeah, okay, that's annoying. Okay, regardless of the little shadow caused by the microphone, I think this looks really good. I think we have a pretty good set going on here. I think I might tweak the light positioning just a little bit, but I think this is looking pretty clean, pretty professional. Speaking of being professional, if you guys are looking to build a website, like an online portfolio, a store, or anything of that nature, Squarespace is one of the best all-in-one platforms for you guys to do that. It's amazing because they have these really fantastic designer templates, which you can basically drag and drop all of your work, all of your images, and it looks like it was designed by a professional, like thousands of dollars. It's an amazing service. I've used them time and time again for clients of my own. For myself personally, I actually need to build another portfolio here soon. So Squarespace, hopefully you can help me out with that. But they are a service that I truly do support and endorse, so I really do thank those guys for sponsoring and supporting my content. So with that being said, head over to squarespace.com/Ryan Cow, start your free trial, 10% off your first purchase. You guys know the deal, I got your back. The one thing I really want to emphasize before we wrap up the video is you by no means need these, giant fancy lights to create a look like this. I mean, prior to this, I was using a ghetto rigged softbox with a $40 LED panel stuck inside of it. Total, maybe a $60 lighting setup. I mean, granted, yeah, I do have my desk and all the practical lighting back here behind me, but that can be a matter of anything. So get creative, use the space that you have available to you, and you guys can come up with some pretty dynamic stuff. Spend some time to practice learning the lights and how they affect subjects, and I think you guys will be surprised with the results you can achieve. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up. It really helps when you guys do that. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in the next video.